Welcome to the Tom Style Show, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate the support today. This is the Hollywood, the stars of ClearSpace, the app that's revolutionizing Silicon Valley. We have Royce Branning and Oliver Hale. They are the founders of ClearSpace. You know, this social distraction. I used to be distracted. I still am distracted. Whenever I go to watch my videos on YouTube, I end up watching a bunch of these shorts and it keeps on going. And then came ClearSpace, like, hey, Tom, too much time you're wasting. And I love this idea. A lot of people say they are doing productivity app, this and that. This is real productivity, giving the power to the users to use their time so that they can make more money, they can do more things. So, you know, Royce and Oliver, see, I want to know your stories, but before that, first we want to know what is ClearSpace from your side.
That was a great tee up. Oh yeah, I got the mic here. That was a great tee up.
Oh, thank you.
ClearSpace is the missing intentionality layer of the internet.
Yeah.
Let me unpack that a little bit. We help you spend the amount of time that you want on your devices. We let you use them without them using you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great concept. You know, first, I'm cutting you off, but I saw that, I think you had that injecting intentionality into the usage. I was like, is he a lawyer? That was my first thought. And I was like, but then you're like top-notch software guy. I was like, wow, but you guys have the wording very, very good. I like that. The intentionality. So, and you unpack that a little bit here, right?
Well, I'll let Oliver talk a little bit more about it.
Sure.
Okay, so at its simplest form, we are adding a moment for you to be intentional before you enter the thing you're about to enter. I would bet that most people listening to my voice right now didn't come to whatever website they're on to listen to my voice. They came here to do something else, but they got sucked into the algorithm feeding them things. And so what we do is we give people a moment to center themselves before they enter, to think about what they actually want to do, and then we'll pull them out at the end when they tell us, like, okay, I need 2 minutes in here, we give you 2 minutes, we'll pull you out. And it turns out that that moment is what makes all the difference cognitively in your habits.
Wow, so before I'm getting into, let's say, Instagram or TikTok, you're giving me a moment to take some time to breathe in and make the decision consciously. Wow, that's a genius idea. Wow, so you're giving me that, so I can make the decision for myself. If I decide to go in and I tell you, hey, 15 minutes, that's the max, pull me out. And you're like, okay, boom, 15 minutes later, I'm out.
That's right.
Wow, this is a very good idea. Where did you get this idea, by the way?
Yeah, it's a good question. So Oliver and I, we both are knowledge worker millennials. Okay?
Wow.
So we grew up in the generation that people have labeled digital natives.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got social media pretty early on when we were coming of age, right? In our early teens, we kind of learned how to relate to our peers in the context of digital environments. And slowly as the years went on, you probably noticed this too, all the platforms got a little bit more addicting, right? They kind of started to take a little bit more of your time. Who was it? One of the CEOs of one of these platforms said something about how their competition wasn't other platforms, it's sleep.
Netflix.
Yeah, calling them out.
Wow.
But so we feel like we experienced this in one of the very early waves of maturity in the internet. And something that Oliver and I, before we actually even knew each other, had independently started doing as software engineers was hacking together attention protection tools for ourselves.
Oh.
So what does that mean? It means VPN blockers that shut off our internet at certain times. It means website Etsy host modifications that don't allow us to access different domains at different times in the day just for us to be able to do our daily work as software engineers.
Yeah.
When we did cross paths, we decided that you shouldn't have to be a software engineer or have extreme technical capabilities just to spend the amount of time you want on devices. So really at the heart of ClearSpace is building out a comprehensive set of tools that allow people to align their interests with their actual usage.
Wow, that makes so much sense. So now you guys have the app. So for now, your functionality is giving people a moment, giving them the time, and then when make the conscious decision, pulling them out. So these are the functionalities just on the phone or anywhere else?
So we're doing that on the phone right now. That's our core product. We also have a Chrome extension. And the interesting thing that we can do on the web is we can actually modify the experience. We can't change it on the phone. We can't change what the Instagram app looks like. But on your browser, let's say you go to LinkedIn, we can actually kill your feed. You probably didn't go to LinkedIn to look at your feed. You wanted to search for someone, to respond to a message. And we can actually modify that experience so that the intentional piece of the websites are still there. You can search, you can respond, you can check your notifications, but you won't get ripped into the ad-based monetization that all these sites make their money from.
Wow, this constant feed, one after another, keeps on going. So you're just, holding people back. Hey, wait a second. Wow, so this is you were like anti-social media group, huh?
Okay. This is an important point though. So the really exciting thing about this is we see the same problems that arise from how ubiquitous screens are in our lives. Is actually the exact same opportunity we have to fight back against it, right? The thing that makes your phone so addicting is that you carry it around with you everywhere. But we can actually deploy the same type of solutions that suck you in to keep you out. And so we actually don't ultimately think social media is bad. We love social media. I love keeping up with my college friends on Snapchat. I love seeing what my sister and her friends are up to on Instagram as they're having babies. But at the end of the day, I want these social media platforms for specific reasons and not for others. And being able to name that difference and actually enforce it is kind of that missing component that we're able to deploy at scale and cross-platform.
The other thing is you say we're kind of anti-social media, and to an extent we are, but if you want to use Instagram for 20 minutes a day, we want you to. We just don't want you to use it for 21 minutes a day. And a lot of what our users end up telling us is hey, you actually gave me Twitter back because before this, I couldn't trust myself to have it on my phone. I'd scroll in bed, I'd scroll nonstop. And now I can trust that I'll go on and you will hold me to the 20 minutes that I set out for myself per day. And if I go over it, my wife's getting an automated text from the ClearSpace app, or there's all these different levers we can set up to really truly keep you accountable. And I think this is another thing we hear is I just delete the app. It's well, if you really want to set up a robust social layer that prevents you from doing that, we can help you do that.
This deleting the app, it never works. I tried that. And my time back in the days, it was Facebook. And then came all these other things. And I tried to, so then I came up with another solution, got a different phone for the social
You have two phones?
Yeah.
This is so common amongst, would you consider yourself a creator? I would consider you a creator.
A
creator, you're on YouTube,
right?
you have this following, you do interviews.
So we need to see these things.
Get this.
Right?
Most of the creators we talk to have two phones. And we have a little hypothesis about this, that you're experiencing the quintessential trade-off that's really hard to navigate, which is the fact that YouTube is a platform. I'm sure you enjoy consuming YouTube as well. You watch it.
Sure.
So YouTube for you, as somebody with a show, is simultaneously a mission-critical tool and a weapons-grade distraction device right next to each other. Right? It's actually the way that you're building a brand, that you're sharing these interviews, but it's also something that can take your time away from you, and they're right next to each other. And that is the exact moment where we think ClearSpace can help you and encourage you to identify the difference and keep the good while throwing away the bad.
Wow. That's a very beautiful thing. One of the things I've been thinking when I read your stories, and one of the things I think you guys mentioned, you guys help people save 50,000 hours of work time, right? And I'm thinking, because I'm a little older, so I'm thinking in the dollar amount. I mean, if it's just even minimum wage, $20 an hour, that's $1 million. These guys just gave it to the society, $1 million worth of value. And as it keeps going, one day you guys can go around and say, oh, we save people $1 billion. And I'm like, any VC would be going, wow. They're creating a lot more value for the society than they're taking on, right? You're only charging people a couple bucks a month. It's wow. So, and you also have a free version for people to try it on. Wow, this is incredible. But so you guys are gonna go to Android next, or what's the idea?
Yeah, we will get to Android likely by the end of this year, beginning of next. But we're really focusing on our iPhone app right now. And just delivering the beautiful experience that we know we can. And getting it right.
Yeah. Maybe are you guys going to go into these goggles thing? The Vision Pro.
Should we?
It should definitely go in. I'm like, okay, who's going to walk around with a gigantic thing? Do you guys love the Vision Pro?
I don't know about love.
We got to try it.
Yeah, interesting experience, right? Everybody would be like, oh, I gotta have it, I gotta try it out, I gotta try this. But after trying a few times,
Have you tried it?
no, I haven't tried it, but I had a couple of folks that came in and pitched me with the VR goggle thing,
Yeah.
the Meta thing, right?
Quests,
Yeah, they
yeah.
were building software, they were all into that, and they're building a whole world out there, the Meta stuff.
Yeah.
And but then it kind of slowed down a bit, and now it's mostly I get the ChatGPT to this ChatGPT.
Yeah.
One guy actually had a review. This is after a long time. It's a refreshing idea that is not using ChatGPT.
We'll just wait for our AI angle.
Yeah, this is I love the idea. Now before that, so you guys are both computer engineers, and you went to Notre Dame.
Yep.
In
South Bend.
It's South Bend, Indiana.
That's right.
The only reason I remember South Bend is that with Pete Buttigieg, all the
Yeah,
news he comes in, and some people complain the potholes. I'm like, okay, the only thing I know about South Bend. But you introduced me to some software company over there. You did an internship at.
Yeah. There's a couple companies I got to intern with. I got to work at a company called Closet Clicks early on, and then Venly.
But Closet Clicks, you're the owner. Your
Yeah, I was
brother
one of
is
the co-founders.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I saw that on the sign you guys made, like Closet Clicks fund us or something like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow, that is so creative. I love that. Also, you guys also did that. The social experiment thing where people come in, they give you their phones.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and you guys have the papers and things like that,
Yeah,
like a replacement thing.
We've had a few events at our office and other places where you have to check your phone at the door to get in. And
It's like a code check for your phone.
Wow.
and people love it. Like we give them little notepads, and like by the end of the night, everyone's exchanging contact details on pen and paper, and like
Yeah.
it feels different. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So get this. So 2 weeks ago was SF Tech Week?
Yeah.
Okay. So 3 weeks ago, we get an email that went out to startups, and you might have gotten it as well. The SF Tech Week committee had an open call for events.
Okay.
Okay. So they said, if you're a startup, a VC fund, what have you, fill out this Google form and submit an idea for an event.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of going, we don't really have an event. I don't know. I'll fill out. What if we did a no phone social? We just put it in. Most of these events are rooftop bars, open bar in the middle of downtown. We wrote, we'll have some light beverages and no one's allowed to use their phone. That's it. Oh, and by the way, it's not in downtown. It's off in the neighborhoods in Nopa, at our random office.
Yeah.
200 people RSVP'd in 3 days.
Whoa. Wow.
So turns out that people want to remove their phones from social gatherings.
Yeah.
They want to be intentional and have conversations. They just are lacking the constraints to do it in a lot of contexts. So
And the shared buy-in, right? Like
Yeah.
it's one thing for you personally to put your phone away for the evening, but when you're going to somewhere where everyone's opted into that, like actually being there, it feels different.
Yeah, that's a very interesting experiment. A couple years ago, this is when everybody is always on their phone. Whenever I talk to our engineers or our employees, they come in and I don't check my phones. I just leave it. But sometimes I feel guilty. I need to check things like that. But a lot of times, these young people straight out of college that we hired, they're talking to me and always checking their phones. Yeah. I'm like, in our world, that never existed. I was like, if we did that, we'd be fired on day one, right? In front of your boss, you're checking your phone. It never happens. So I had to tell them that this is disrespectful. You should not do that. You should put your phone on vibrate. And then they say, oh, my Instagram has a different vibration or something, whatever.
Yeah.
They have some, oh my God. I'm like, oh God, okay, leave the phone in a different room then. If I don't know about the technicalities. But now I'm going to tell them to download ClearSpace.
There you go.
that's what we're talking about.
I love your logo, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Who created the logo?
It's my sister, I think. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because it's so different. I was like, was it a bullet point? What happened here? Or is it? Because first thing, ClearSpace, there's some space-related stuff happening.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I thought, the Invisaligns? Because my dentist, he doesn't do the Invisalign. He had something else, some other smile, clear smile or something.
Okay.
So I was like, is it the dental product?
ClearSpace would be a great name for a dental. Dang it! We could have had an Invisalign.
Spotting on some braces. Yeah.
That's a missed opportunity right there. Maybe we split off into adjacency.
Yeah, new pivot.
Things were going great, but this is
they came on
really...
the Top Stat show. They went on a dental product. Oh man, but so I love the logo. You guys have the Product Hunt. You guys have tremendous good reviews. So many people loved it, especially amongst engineers and people that are super busy. They love it because they, because for them, just like I told you the dollar value, they're thinking the dollar value amount. Like, how much time should I be spending here? Because, and for me to come on YouTube, I never did much of social before. But with this addictive things, I was like, man, I cannot be wasting my time like that.
Yeah.
This is insane. So I said, you know what? I gotta get my money back of the wasting I did. So I created my own show. I felt like guilty. What am I doing? This is some guy making something in a different country, and I'm obsessed about that living in a jungle or something. What's happening here? But these are so addictive. It's just and creators are getting better and better and better. Totally. Algorithms are getting better. But the thing is, the counter product you're creating, you're going to get better and better as well. It's not that you are stopping the addictiveness, you're stopping that, the usage, not the addictive, but you're trying people not to get addicted to it. Sometimes people say, oh, no alcohol. I'm like, how are you going to live without alcohol? Are you insane? You got to have some, without wine, what kind of dinner is that? This is like, that is a terrible idea, right? And so that's the thing. I was, some people would say this is antisocial. No, not really. Right. You got to have wine, but not like a couple of bottles. Right. This is, and so this is like you're giving a limit,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, you just said like 4 or 5 things that we each like jumped at, and so a bunch of stuff there. So like, as you say, it gets more and more and more addictive over time. Like, the algorithm gets better, the creators get better. Like what we're actually seeing in real time, and you can kind of rewind your life over the past 10 years and feel it unfolding, is first Facebook came along, and you spend 2 hours a day scrolling. Like it became a really good product, and then Instagram came. And to the extent that Instagram replaced Facebook, it wasn't because it was new, it was because it was stickier, it was even stickier. Oh. And then TikTok came along, and you spend more and more time. And what's happening is each of these internet companies that monetize by ads, the finite resource that they need to survive is human attention. They're all competing for it. And human attention, now that everyone's online, is a finite resource. And so you have all of the constraints for an evolutionary arms race, where the only organisms that are going to survive in this environment are the ones that are the best at competing and retaining human attention. It's like over time, this whole system that we're a part of is going to get stickier and stickier and stickier and stickier. And I think we've all felt that happen to us over the last 10 years. But as you say, like now there's space for a player to come in and be the defense for your attention, to actually like act on your behalf and protect you from these things. And we too will get better and better and better over time. And the good news is that our business model is not on human attention. At least we make money from protecting your attention, not exploiting it. And so over time, like you will see players like us get more and more funding and capture more and more value by people paying them to like, hey, play defense for my attention in this increasingly chaotic world. And then the other thing you said, which I think we both jumped at, was like, it's not about cutting off entirely. It's about, and Royce talks about this all the time, I think has the perfect framing for like exactly how we think about like this issue.
Well, we talk a lot about how moderation is actually often a much more difficult protocol than complete abstinence. So you talked about a life without wine. But drinking moderately is actually really tricky, and there's actually some really great software tools that are helping people figure out how to drink in moderation better.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
There's tools that are helping us evolve kind of in this evolutionary arms race that Oliver talks about, using technology and leveraging it for us to find that happy middle. The other really, really cool thing that we find is that not only do we get to be a technology arm that's helping protect people's attention, but there's a lot of great movements outside of technology. There's a lot of lower tech solutions to this problem. We think of ourselves as the high-tech solution to a high-tech problem. But our job wouldn't make sense unless the greater context of public discourse around the attention economy, documentaries like Social Dilemma, organizations like Project Reboot that's educating the youth on how to think more critically about the the time they spend on social media. We really think about meeting the global conversation where it's at and then arming people with the tools to actually implement that behavior. Because there's fantastic research, there's fantastic programs, organizations that are really figuring out what it means for us to relate in this current context of digital relationship.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because you guys are the high-tech solution to this high-tech attack from these top tech companies.
Yeah.
And because, a low-tech solution for this would be like Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, people sit around, they say, oh, I only used 15 minutes Instagram yesterday, or I did this, or I did that. And, everybody applauds, that's like a, kind of thing. And the social media toxicity or the social media overusage or social media addiction, right? So it's like a committee. But you are basically giving them a tool
That's right.
to shield themselves from the attack.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's exactly like you say. Like when people, if you were to have a conversation with someone, they're like, I'm really addicted to my phone. Like I'm just spending way more time on it than I want. Or you might hear it like, I just can't stop scrolling. Like the solutions that people prescribe or just like casual advice are low tech. Like, dude, just like leave it at home. Or like, just delete the apps or like, lock it in a box. Like, I think we've all tried that.
Yeah.
And in the real world, it just doesn't work because they're utility and they're distraction. And you're getting the tap water, like Instagram DMs. I need that in my life. Like I need to be able to talk to people. But seriously, like it's, like Instagram is as much about organizing the pickup basketball game on the weekend as it is about like doom scrolling reels. And the tap water of like DMs is right next to the heroin of like reels.
Yeah.
And I can't rip them apart because it's not in Instagram's best interest to let me. But it's crazy to me that like we're still suggesting these low tech solutions of like, just leave your phone at home. It's like,
no,
not gonna work.
And not just the DM in the business world, like, a lot of our engineers from China. So I spend a significant amount of time on WeChat, right? So, and it was all good a couple years before. It was all great. Just the chatting, I get the message, I reply, done. Then they learned it from TikTok and these reels, and they created their own discovery moments and stuff, right? And it's very difficult to turn that off. But I Googled it and figured out how to turn it off. I turned it off because I was spending so much time on that. And for no reason, because I was actually answering a business text. And then I was like, okay, let's see what happened. And it goes on and on and on. And it all starts with the message, which is important and needed for day-to-day life. And then it goes into a little extra, and then it goes all downhill from there. And you guys are, the timing aspect, I love that because, let's say I get carried on, and it stops me, it pulls me out.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys are always thinking about these solutions of how to arm people against these things.
Yeah.
If this is
what you got?
bad idea, but if I were one of these social media folks, like if I was Zuckerberg, I would be like, you guys have a fantastic idea. Do you need more funding? Let me help you out. Make sure you take the Instagram out, but focus on TikTok. That's killing our youth.
The next evolution of the arms race is trying to get us in their pocket. A lot of the apps now have started to implement digital well-being features within the app.
Okay.
It's something interesting to observe, and we think it's a great signal of the broader market being really ready for these controls. We think it's wise maybe for people to consider the trade-offs associated with trusting the same people that are supplying you with the addictive reels, with the limitations. There might be something there.
Yeah.
But you can see it. You can see it. I know TikTok has one. I know some of the Google apps have these digital well-being tabs that are starting to move in the direction. And we think there's just this big opportunity to deploy even more opinionated solutions, maybe than just your typical, all right, time's up, and then you can just swipe it away. It's like, no, what does it mean to have the appropriate accountability levers that can help you actually design your digital life, your digital diet, and then be a lever for you when you're at your best and thinking about who you want to be to influence you at your most susceptible. And that's where we want to deploy all those best practices, a just-in-time breathe intervention, accountability partners, people that can hold you accountable. I mean, we look at systems that have worked for people in a number of different areas for really, really long time, right? Like budgeting, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has finances. People need to figure out how to exercise temperance when spending. Credit cards can
Yeah.
check you on this, but credit card limits or notifications or budgeting apps can really help you figure out who you want to be in the realm of your personal finances. Dieting plans or workout plans help you do the same thing. And we think about your information diet as very similar to your food diet.
Yeah.
There's different types of nutrients that you want to be consuming. You can't eat cookies all day.
Yeah. Which I do a lot.
Yeah. You can't eat cookies all
Can't
day.
help it.
You certainly can't eat kale all day. Shouldn't eat cookies all day, but some kale and some cookies.
Yeah, a mix of both. So I like this idea a lot. And actually, so both of your backgrounds in software and with the budgeting, you worked for a budgeting app,
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I was like, it was the Quicken loan.
Quicken, which interestingly not a part of Quicken Loans.
Oh, okay.
It's a crazy history of Intuit.
Yeah.
Because Intuit was the father of them all. Then Quicken Loans got spun
Rocket
out.
Mortgage, I think,
Rocket Mortgage.
got the licensing or something, right?
They did. Yeah. Not many people know about the history of Quicken Loans, Intuit, QuickBooks. They're all kind of from a similar heritage. But I definitely learned a lot about consumer behavior with regard to discipline and budgeting during my time at Quicken. It's a great team over there working on the simplified budgeting product. Yeah.
And you also worked at Amazon, right?
I did, yeah.
For a couple of years.
I started my career working on Alexa at Amazon.
Oh,
Yeah.
Alexa, yeah. But Amazon does not have any of these addictive products like the social addiction. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, I actually think that's fair. Like, I'd say the specific reason for that is they aren't monetizing based on ads. Like, they can do the honest thing of selling you a product. They're not saying, hey, come for free. And then their real customers are the advertisers, and that's what
Yeah, the
Facebook and
advertising
Instagram
space. Because Zuckerberg was attacking Amazon a lot. Oh, the only one growing in the ad space is Amazon, right? Because the sellers, they have to sponsor now a lot of because the top search is usually the sponsored ones. So if you want to sell, you gotta do the sponsor and also do the Prime, which means you have to do the fulfillment and all that with them. So they have some of that. But those are kind of. Okay, you are trying to buy something, sure, these are the people. It's not like going through and scrolling and all that. But so yeah, that's so no competition with Amazon or Quicken. You guys went in a totally separate path into this crusade. So now, both of you started some other companies before, like you did that other social media shopping, and I never watched that movie Clueless, but I saw that. I was like, what is that movie? And then I was like, okay, that makes sense. So what is that like?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, my brother came back from college with an idea about the fact that we were going to start a company, and like a lot of great companies start out, we said we're going to start a company, and then we figured out what we were going to do. But we started with problems that we had, and one of the biggest problems in our lives at the time, we have 2 sisters, sometimes girlfriends, and it was really getting gifts for some of the people in our lives, particularly people that we didn't have the same interests with always. And we basically built an interface with a few of our friends that was a gift-getting site. And the people that really latched onto it were actually a large contingent of women who liked using the functionality we had for mixing and matching outfits. So we found ourselves figuring out how to build a women's fashion website for a little bit. And it was a great journey. I learned a lot about entrepreneurship during that time, lean startup, kind of figuring all that out. It's when I started coding for the first time, and really, really great experience. And as you saw, my brother and another co-founder, Greg, were just experts in growth hacking. They had the Sandhill Road, Silicon Valley sign. So we definitely take inspiration from some of those types of mechanics when doing things like phone checks and trying to think outside the box about how to kind of message to people what we're trying to do.
I like that idea because now a lot of people are doing that idea in AR and even VR, some of that. But AR, I think that idea kind of is the very essence of AR. Even Snapchat, I think, probably has that. And I think you were mentioning before, like, I keep in touch with my friends on Snapchat. I'm like, wow, these are really a different generation. I'm like, Snapchat. I have no clue about Snapchat, but I downloaded it a long time ago. But they have different cartoon type things.
You should get the show on Snapchat.
Oh, really? Can you do that? How does that work? Like,
I don't know if I know the ins and outs, but there's great opportunities for content
but
on
it's
there.
got to be shorts, right? The clips, like TikTok.
Yeah, there's a couple different options in there.
You can get some full length content on there.
Oh, really?
Actually, one of the features of ClearSpace, like the end of your little breathe screen, we ask you how long you want to be in there. And we first shipped it, our options were 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And my brother's girlfriend was like, every morning I watch Snapchat stories for 20 minutes. Like that's how I get, that's my thing. It's my routine.
Yeah.
And I can't do that anymore because the maximum option is 15 minutes. So I built this whole feature basically for her. But all that to say that I'm sure that you can watch long form content in Snapchat because there's at least one person in the world that does it.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So I gotta know about your routines. Like you guys are this young generation that you graduated computer science, and this tool is definitely something. During our time, we just used to leave the phone in the dorm. Sometimes I did that, and phone wasn't that important because I think Steve Jobs was just about to come up with that announcement, and then the iTouch was a big thing back then. That thing doesn't even exist now.
Yeah, bring back the iTouch. The iTouch was
I
great.
think it actually does.
Did
they kill the iPod Touch? I think it's around.
Oh wow!
What about the Nano?
This
Also around. I'm pretty sure.
That's great.
wow, and so how does what do you guys do on a day-to-day basis while in college and now in startup? What's your day-to-day like?
Do you have your day-to-day locked and loaded?
I think so.
Well, I mean,
we found a fun rhythm this summer, I think, specifically.
we definitely have found a fun rhythm this summer. I mean, most days kick off with the 4 a.m. cold plunge. No, it's
Whoa!
it's 4 a.m. cold plunge, a gallon of athletic greens,
Oh, that was good.
3 hours of deep psychological analysis of the day.
Yeah.
No, Ollie, why don't you give your day?
Well, okay. The thing that's changed this summer is we have our first employee joining, and so we've kind of all found a shared rhythm of like we get into the office first thing, and no one really talks for the first part of the day. Like that is our time to do deep work.
Yeah.
And I think we all have the shared conviction that like if you don't do like your most difficult cognitive work first thing in the morning, it's very, very hard to reclaim that level of focus. And then like around 11:30, when we start to get distracted, like people are like hitting the ping pong ball around, we all just pick up and go to the gym and like get our workout in then, middle of the day. And then kind of the afternoon becomes our time to like sync, plan, like have all the conversations that we delayed when it was like quiet work hours in the morning. And that's been, it's been fun to like run as a little tribe in this like rhythm of just like deep workout, and then plan and synchronize as an organization.
And that's a big shout out too to our founding engineer, Zach, who he kind of brought that midday workout rhythm into the organization, which has been kind of transformative for us. I think both Ollie and I, especially coming out of the YCombinator season where we're really motivated to be putting in those long days and trying to kind of spend everything we have, especially during that concentrated period of the 3 months when you're in the batch. There's just so many unique opportunities. And I think both of us were coming out of that season as refreshed as you can be after that much work and concentration. And I think both of us, have a ton of respect for Oliver. He really is able to lock in and double down, redouble efforts when necessary. And I think it's kind of infectious between the both of us. Really, when things get hard, we kind of like to push into it and make sure that we're executing on what needs to get done. And Zach does the same, but he kind of brought this mentality coming out of university that, if at 2 p.m. we're slumping, let's go get a workout in and come back at 3:30 and really hit it hard. So it's been a really fun change of pace for us, and I think our productivity is soared because of it.
For sure.
I think I love this concept, and you guys figured it out in your early 20s. That's pretty insane. It took me many, many years to figure. I have a similar routine, but especially early in the day. You gotta solve at least one hard problem every day, because that's my go-to. Because if I don't do it, that problem will never be solved. If you push it later, forget it. So the first thing, you gotta solve one hard problem. Don't try to solve too many. If you try to solve too many, you're not going to solve any of them. And so that I kind of go by that. But the workout part, I'm probably not doing much of that, which I need to do.
It's easier in a group for sure. Like,
Oh yeah. You know, that's a good thing. So how many of you are there? Like three?
We're three at the moment. Yeah.
So all three are engineers?
Yeah.
Oh wow! So like one doing iOS, one web, one Android, or what's the division?
So
like?
we're all full stack engineers. We all have the capability for web, mobile, backend. Oliver and Zach right now are really double clicking on a lot of the iOS features, and that's our main platform. I've been focusing a little bit more on some of our web offerings that are to come, but we really think there's a ton of power in getting to have multiple eyes on everything. We're super bullish on being in the office together, collaborating, being in person, and so we get a lot of joy out of pair programming, whiteboarding ideas together, things like that. So we can all kind of touch all different parts of the code base, which makes for some really fun collaboration.
Very good. This is fantastic, because without going to the office, how in the world could you run a startup? That is insane.
I think there's some people that can really do it. I just love being able to put my head down, work on something, then get up and give somebody a high five. Like I think it's a rare type of energy. I think it's a rare joy to be able to do it. But we know some people that are really good at. They love their setup at home. They love the opportunity to travel or work remotely, and I've seen it done really well. But our team just.
I'm not built like that.
No, we're not. I don't. We must not be good enough. But it's. We really just enjoy being together.
Being together is absolutely essential. But one thing I would say, in the morning when you're trying to solve a problem, you cannot have a long commute. Then it destroys the time for you, your brain energy. So you got to be living close by so that there's no wastage. What do you think about that?
We just cut our 45-minute bus ride downtown to SF from the neighborhoods to a little office space that's 3 blocks from Oliver's apartment and 3 blocks from my apartment. So we're a team walk to work in the morning. Yeah, we love it. We're on the same page. Do you live nearby your office?
But for me now, I have offices in different states, so it's difficult to meet them. So, and most of the people I'm talking to are mostly middle management type thing. So I'm not direct with. But back in the days, it was just a tiny room, myself and a bunch of other people. I'm preaching them some things and stuff, and hopefully they believe me, and we're going. And that's how you kind of go every day until they have their own team and they have their own setup. So then they figure out their style of things. And at that point, it would be very difficult for founders even to implement your ideas on them, because they have their own setup already. The other people, they're kind of listening to them. And and you don't want to. I felt these in the recent years that you don't want to interfere in that, and kind of then they'll be like, oh, the big boss said this, so what are you? It kind of gets in there, so you kind of leave it alone. Yeah. The worst thing is you'll see sometimes bad things happening. Some of those you hear it, but you sometimes back off a little bit. Don't push right away. Yeah. But those things, if that happened when I started, in beginning of my career, I'd be going probably crazy, right? I already lost hair, so that would have been, I don't know, full explosion.
No, it's really interesting what you say. I mean, the power and proximity of people, shared context. You get to kind of ride other people's energy, maybe if you're a little drained. And we also think that you're able to kind of create an environment in the workplace where you're freed from the responsibilities of maybe home life in certain ways and contexts. I'm curious, Tom, for you. You talked about getting that deep work done in the morning for yourself. What do you do with your phone in the morning when you're trying to get that deep work done?
That's a very good question. If our generation is we're obsessed with news for no reason whatsoever. And so halfway when I'm up in the middle of the night, I'm still reading news, and then I get tired. I just fall asleep again, and I wake up, and I'm still again on the news. And right after that, then I'm like, okay, throw away the phone, get ready, and then start the work. And that time, I kind of try to keep it the important part to get that part done, so that at least I accomplished something that day, right? And then I to other things, social communication, these things. My hobby is now to talk to people and get to know people.
Yeah.
That was missing in my life for probably not just in my life, the COVID, for everybody's
Totally.
life, right? So I was like, I got to figure out a way how to meet new people.
Yes,
And,
yes.
and so that was part of the idea, how to get these ideas.
Yep.
Because you guys are very much into the productivity side, like how to, make people a little more productive.
Yeah,
Right.
productivity certainly, but even something you were just saying resonated with me about the way that our phones can take us away from the social contexts that kind of help us flourish. Some of our founder friends from the YCombinator batch have a great company called 222, which is kind of revitalizing just-in-time social events, kind of serendipitous social events. And they talk a lot about the social recession that occurred during the pandemic. We all there was kind of a social recession, right? Isn't that a good word for it?
Yeah, that's a very good word.
And-
you were very good at coming up with words.
No, that's not me. That's them. That's them. I just hang around people. I put my phone down long enough to hang around people, and I steal some of their words sometimes. But on the other side of the social recession, we kind of collectively need a jump start, right? Yeah. Because we've fallen into a lot of these patterns where, and we hear this all the time from our users, which is they're really hardworking engineers or entrepreneurs that are passionate about what they do. And they work so hard that at the end of the day, their energy tank's decently low.
Yeah.
And it's so easy. The habits that used to be, okay, it's end of a hard work day, I'm going to go get a drink with my friends, or I'm going to go reach out to someone, go play in a rec league.
Yeah.
When inertia kind of slowed down for them, they fell into the habit of going to their phone in those moments of low energy. And that social recession, right? Getting people jump-started back into a rhythm where the default isn't lay down on the couch and scroll TikTok for a couple hours. It's actually, no, I'm going to go engage with other people, build relationships. Those things actually generate a lot more energy for you to be prepared for the next day. But sometimes there's an upfront and activation energy that's missing. And we think some of the coolest stories that we've heard around how ClearSpace has positively impacted people have been around the relationships that have been able to flourish inside of the context of the constraints that ClearSpace introduces into people's lives. Yeah.
Speaking of relationship, the reason you got me hooked into your Notre Dame story is I think you announced to your then fiance that you're gonna quit your Silicon Valley job, and she was okay with it.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that story, because that's what we want to know.
I'm glad that you are giving me the mic to talk about my wonderful wife. That's going to be some bonus points.
Yeah.
She's insanely supportive.
So how did you break it down to her? Like, did you?
Oh, the moment of leaving the job. Well, I didn't have Ollie Hill quite yet to support me in it, but
Just yourself at that time.
at that time, yeah, and she would have been much more confident in things if I had this guy, him joining. So talking to Lib about what I was doing and what I'd been thinking about. She had seen an early version of ClearSpace, and early in our relationship,
You're about to get married, right?
Yeah, we are about to get married. That's true. I think a step back is appropriate. When my wife and I started dating, we were long distance, and we had kind of made a joint pact that we were at different schools across the country, that we weren't, just because we were dating long distance, we weren't going to live our lives through our phones in relationship to each other. We were going to do one text a day, one picture a day, photo of the day. So I actually credit a lot of the relationship that we developed in kind of digital temperance to being able to have the confidence to know that constraints like the one that we implemented in our early texting relationship could help people flourish in the digital age. When I came to her with the idea that I'm going to leave a secure job 5 months before our wedding and leap off into the abyss, she had a few questions for me. And then eventually we talked through kind of the mission with it and what we were trying to do. And she's like, all right, let's do this thing. You got it. I believe in you. So,
Wow. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful story. There are both sides to it, and I'll give you, it's one side is your courage to take on the relationship, the marriage, at the same time take on the startup. It's a mental. You have to be prepared for that. And the other side, she accepting this situation wherever it goes, and I had a similar situation, not fiance, just girlfriend at that time. when I quit my job and I was
How old were you?
I was 25. I think I was 25, 25 and a half, something about to be 26. That time I quit my job. I had a good job, everything fantastic, good life.
Yeah.
You know, when you have money coming in, the W-2 income, it's different.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to worry about all the concerns of the company, whether their products are selling, whether the software is buggy. It doesn't matter to you. You just do your job. Your boss is happy, you go home, right? And so then I take on these entrepreneurial stuff, and you know, I myself couldn't handle anything else. I'm like a monofocused kind of person. Like, you know, I told you, like, one thing in the morning, you got to get it done.
Yeah.
Like, so I could not handle multiple things. I was like, everything goes in this. And from my side, I kind of backed out in the relationship. And, you know, it didn't work out later on, which, you know, because for the first couple of years, I was like, there is no way I'm thinking anything else in life other than what I'm doing, because I'm about to be so broke that, you know, God, oh my God. So that was the situation. So it's like, but you know, that's, but being able to balance it, it's a very big thing in entrepreneur's life, because you are able to balance. Any investor that would, you know, talk to you, they would be so impressed that you were able to balance the relationship, balance the startup, you know, because that helps you with balancing things with the co-founders, with other people, you know. So it's a very good quality you have. So that's good. I'm assuming you're still. Are you married or?
I'm single.
Single, yes. Yeah. so you know, so for you, low risk still.
Low relational risk.
But the risk is there in terms of the leaving the big tech. But now entrepreneurship is widely accepted in the valley, or right?
Now there was a little bit of risk. This might be something you didn't know. Oliver Hill and I knew each other for about 4 weeks when we decided to start this company together.
Oh, how do you meet? Like,
So we met on the YCombinator co-founder matching platform, which for anyone unfamiliar is basically a hinge for find a business partner. You literally set you set your preferences, like, I'm looking for someone this far away from me, like I am technical, and I'm looking for someone non-tech, like all these things.
Yeah.
And it'll show you your matches. And I was coming out of a startup that just folded, and was like very much felt like I still had a swing at entrepreneurship in me, and was looking for like the problem that I felt most called to solve, which was like very much around the abundance of like screens in my life and trying to temper that. And probably fielded like 20 to 30 of these co-founder matching calls, and hopped on with Royce, and like we both got really excited like on this 30-minute call. He was down in Santa Barbara at the time. I was in San Francisco, and he was like, hey, I'm cutting this trip short. Like, I'm coming back tomorrow. And we met at a bar in the Haight and set up at WeWork the next day, built what is now our Chrome extension, and like launched it online, and it got a ton of traction right away. And we formed the company, like officially incorporated, and like immediately raised some money from some mission-aligned investors, and it was just like instantly off to the races. And so we were like, we felt very, very steady, but like also the investors were kind of like, guys, you've known each other for weeks. Like, is this really built to last? So it's been extremely fun, like proving us right in that decision that like we felt firmly early on that this was the right partnership for this business. And a year in, it's feeling as solid as ever.
Yeah, that's one of the things with the co-founders. You know, a lot of the times I meet co-founders, one technical founder, one marketing founder, but three of you. So two of your co-founders, the other guy, is he also a founder?
He's a founding engineer, but
founding engineer. But three of you are all technical.
Yeah.
All of you can look at each other's codes and, you know, do similar things. So how do you kind of balance the, you know, workload? Who's going to take on what? How are you going to, you know, what's the process like?
Well, Oliver's our CTO, and he's leader of the technical organization. So all things roll up in terms of dividing and conquering technical tasks and how we're going to approach things. All things roll up to him. And so it's really kind of we've really been able to figure out how to make it all work in terms of trusting each other to lead different operations within the business, right? You know, there's talking to users, there's building product, there's figuring out new ways to get the message out, coming on awesome shows. So you know, we, you know, having built together for the amount of time we have now, we've been able to identify kind of the superpowers that the other possesses, and really hold a lot of trust. I mean, Oliver's technical leadership in making decisions, he fields insight from Zach and myself and the different experiences we draw on from the different builds we've done, et cetera. But at the end of the day, he's able to steer the ship and make sure that we're going in the right direction. And that allows us all to put our heads down and sprint on technical tasks, then come back up for air and figure out where we're going to go next.
Yeah.
And what is unsaid in Royce's humility is that all that process is going on for him with growing the business, figuring out how to scale up marketing, how to distribute the message, and like all of these things of like what is inevitably a technical problem of like how do you grow in a world that's like increasingly chaotic, increasingly strapped for attention. That's kind of the division of our roles is at the end of the day, all the strategy decisions about where we're going long term roll up to Royce.
Yeah, wow, you guys got a very good team. Now, what's the plan? Are you guys planning to grow the team a lot, raise some more funds, or what's going on?
Definitely.
So you were in the seed round, right? Or
I'd say pre-seed.
Pre-seed round. So you already got some investors on boarded. So maybe they are going to come back, or some new investors to get on and for funding for a couple more years, grow the user base, because you already have a big number, that $1 million you saved for people, right? Right. So that's going to be everywhere. And pretty soon it's going to be like 2 million, 3 million. The number grows, because sometimes we cannot relate to the 50,000 hours. What does that mean? Like it gets difficult. But when you put $1, whoa, okay, now I'm listening.
One quick touch point that I think is everyone can identify with is most of our users tell us when we get on the phone with them that they cut their screen time in half when they downloaded our app. In half.
Wow.
Anyway, didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
No, I love that. Wow. So this is that. So you guys met, in the YCombinator matchup. Did you guys? But by then you both graduated, right?
Yeah. This was year. We were 25 and 26 at the time.
And so you grew up in San Francisco, or?
Yeah, the Bay Area.
The Bay Area, and then went to Notre Dame.
That's right.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in New York.
Oh, in
on Long
New
Island.
York.
Yeah.
Whoa, two of you from and then you were in DC.
I went to Georgetown, graduated in 2019. Wow. Drove out here and never looked back.
So now from East Coast to California, you were already all over Bay Area. So okay, so what's the plan to put the headquarters? Is it going to be here, or is it going to be New York?
It's going to be here.
So there's something about the area, right? So right now, this is right now. Where's your headquarters?
We're in San Francisco.
Oh, in SF. So right there. So
we're in San Francisco in the Nopa neighborhood, north of the Panhandle. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're bullish on San Francisco.
Yeah.
We think it's a city not without problems, but with a lot of opportunity. Yeah. It's hard to find different places. I certainly haven't been anywhere where you're walking the streets and you bump into people that are just doing crazy, interesting stuff. Obviously, all of the LLM and AI stuff that's going on, Cerebral Valley, really compelling. But just a lot of people that have a lot of optimism for the future and
want to build it.
They want to build it, yeah.
From the entrepreneurs, I hear so many good things. There was one guy, he was I think 26 years old, on my show. After the show, he moved to San Francisco.
Yeah, there you go.
He told me how much he loved it and how much he want to move to San Francisco. And the only bad thing I hear about San Francisco is on the news. They're filled with it. But other than that, entrepreneurs, they are always optimistic about the growth of the city and things like that. So that's where you're headquartered. Now you're raising another round. And in terms of the product development, any new plans, new features, anything you guys are planning to?
Yeah. One thing we're super excited about is rolling out different ways that you can set up your digital environment. So one thing we hear is people say, I want to have to do something physical before I can get into my apps. So something we're releasing in the next few weeks is you have to walk 100 steps if you want to unlock TikTok, or give us 10 push-ups if you want to unlock Facebook. And so that's kind of a part of a larger push that we're moving towards, which is bring people along for curriculum around how they change their habits. Most people arrive at our app at a point of I'm really ready to change something about my digital habits. And at the moment, we are a tool that they can configure the settings to do that. Yeah. And what we hear and what we are moving towards is being more of a structured habit change for them. Yeah. You're on day one of your journey right now. Let's set you up for success in week one. Let's set you up for success in month one. Let's set you up for success in year one. And so there's some other things that maybe I'll keep under wraps for now. Building out the flexibility for exactly how you want to set up your digital environment, and then providing some suggestions about like the best way to start is where we're going.
Yeah.
And we've had the really good fortune. We say every day that this is the best job in the world. We can't believe that we get to work on this problem because we truly, to our cores, believe this is one of the most important things in the world to solve. The misalignment of human attention and human intention.
Yeah.
But the opportunity to partake in YCombinator and some of the supporters that we've had from the very early days have given us a platform to actually bring along people that have really deep expertise in a lot of the spaces. You know, we're engineers, we're builders, and we do our research on the appropriate ways to address these problems. But we've really been able to build out a network of advisors and mentors and product brains to help us understand what the right solutions from a scientific lens, from a clinical lens, are for people walking the path towards that moderation that we talked about earlier. And man, we're really excited about some of the challenges, step challenges, kind of pairing different types of habit change and formation journeys in with this new addiction that we're all trying to figure out right now.
Yeah. You guys are like the yoga guru of the digital health, right? Because the steps like the push-ups and a couple of those to unlock this, that's like you're even like full well-being. You're not just digital well-being. You're kind of a full-on well-being application, right?
I think that's right. Like maybe accidentally so. Like we never set out to be that, but we think about it frequently, like as an analogy to food. Like if you ask somebody about their eating habits, they might tell you like, I'm kosher or I'm gluten-free or even like I'm a weekday vegetarian or intermittent fasting, all these things. These are new protocols that people have adopted in the last 50 years around food.
Yeah.
And if someone tells you something like this, you learn instantly about what they eat, when they eat, and even maybe why they eat, like if they're kosher.
Yeah.
And we think that right now, like that's where we are with screen time. People are starting to adopt these protocols in their life. Like you hear it, like I don't check Slack on the weekends, or like no email after 7 p.m. I don't do social media in bed, these kinds of things. But they don't have the tools to actually implement these protocols.
Yeah.
But they are at the core of their life. Like in the same way that if I was kosher, that would be very central to my identity and like part of my total well-being. That's how people are starting to think about their digital relationships. And so if we can be the layer where you come to us with your digital protocol, or we help you set one up, and then we encode it across your whole life, computer, phone, TV, everything, then that's a really powerful place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very expansive idea that can be implemented. Yeah.
And get this about the opportunity. I think this is one of the unlocks for us that just supercharged our belief in what we were doing early on was these are not new problems.
Yeah.
Humans are always balancing against the disruption that occurs on the heels of innovation like the internet and how to rein back in the negative downsides.
Yeah.
And the really unique, like Oliver was talking about, food or alcohol, like we were talking about earlier. Imagine that you could program that glass of wine to be heavier as you were going over the limit, right? Let's say that Sunday morning Tom is able to reach into the future and say, okay, next Saturday night, you know what? 2 glasses of red wine with what's your favorite meal to eat it with?
Steak.
Steak.
I love meat every day.
It's glass 2 of red wine with a nice steak that you just grilled up. You know what? It's getting a little too heavy for me. We can put it down. That seems like magic to us. But inside of the context of our digital habits, that's actually possible.
Yeah.
And so we want to be encoding the right behaviors as aligned with the user's intention to make sure that navigating those waters that include dopamine and addiction is kind of enforced and encouraged by your best self.
Yeah, I love the ideas. I think you guys are very good at brainstorming ideas. This is, I can totally imagine if I put you guys, if we're discussing about something, whiteboarding, it can go days and, you won't feel it because you guys are so good at it.
I think literally on meeting number 1, Royce says to me, okay, like you got to cut me off at some point because whiteboarding is my love language. I can do this.
But other than startups, coding, workout in the middle of the day that you guys started, what else do you guys do? Any hobbies? You used to be an RA.
Yeah, I wasn't RA. I don't know.
Because I was
Hobby, oh no.
I was an RA also,
Let's
so that's
go.
how
Okay,
no,
come on.
Yeah, that's how I started talking to so many people. I'm a super
Yeah.
nerd myself. I was an engineer, but then that kind of stayed with me. And as I got older, I was like, yeah, I think I like that more than this engineering stuff nowadays. So wow, this is, but that experience might have helped you with some stuff.
Yeah, no, I think so. I was an RA in Keenan Hall at the University of Notre Dame. Very proud to have done it. Great organization. Being a resident assistant was an honor and very, very fun experience.
Yeah.
One of our kind of commonalities is Oliver played football in college.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and so we're both athletes, and that's kind of a mutual context of just getting outside and competing that we really enjoy. But yeah, he walked on as a kicker.
Wow, man, and you were in basketball, or?
Yeah, I was a basketball player in high school. Also played football. So I think sports is like a common language that we very much speak.
Do you guys do that over the weekend sometimes, or?
Yeah, or during the weekdays.
Yeah, the midday workouts.
Yeah, it might be a midday pickup.
Oh
basketball game.
yeah. That's fantastic. So now, how big do you want your team to be coming up? Like after the next round, maybe 10 people or something?
We're super happy running lean for the moment. Like we have what we need.
So lean startup.
Lean startup for now.
Yeah.
I think as we start to scale to cross-platform, we will grow to like that 10, 12, 15 number.
Okay.
We have what we need to build and build quickly right now.
Yeah.
And it's a question of, can we get our users what they need? Can we crack growth? And as those waters start to rise, we'll pull in more people. Yeah, but I think that's about like in the year to year and a half timeline that we're looking towards like scaling up.
Wow. Yeah. This looks so. Yeah, you guys have a really good plan. I'm very bullish on ClearSpace. That's for sure. Now, I need my audience to learn some stuff from you guys about some lessons of the startup. Different people share different things that just comes out of the blue, and I'm like, wow, and then it's easy to relate to.
Yeah.
Because why did the ClearSpace founder talk about this? Because they were solving that problem.
Yeah.
And that was so deep in there. So, just share some of those things. I think you guys can share forever, but keep going.
I love the opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, and we haven't maybe talked as much about these, but startups are full of failures.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of how many times can you get back up? And our journey's been wrought with those. There's been a lot of wins and a lot of things that we're super grateful for that have gone right so that we can work on this mission and execute. But we talk about internally that every adversity is a differentiator.
Yeah.
So every time we encounter something that feels like it's not going to allow us to thrive in the future, we think about what it would mean to recover from that and move forward, and how that differentiates us from the outcome that we don't get to keep doing this anymore. And with that, we also talk about how failure is a context to build a rare kind of trust.
Yeah.
There's a lot of apps in our space broadly, productivity, intentionality, wellness, that over the years, especially the last 5 or 6 years, they've come and gone for different reasons. Some weren't able to be viable as businesses. Others, who knows what. Startups fail for all different types of reasons. And we really, this is a deeply seated mission for us. And when we face failure or adversity, we do really press forth to think about the consistency that we can provide our users builds a rare kind of trust. And we want to continue to do that. And so I think response to failure is kind of one of the big things that we have to learn again each and every day, but has continued to be kind of built into the fabric of what we're doing, and is probably the best lesson that we've learned in terms of getting things to end up working.
No, I love that. The failure, especially, if you guys can stick together during failure, oh man, you found the right person in your team, and so that's a very important thing. Oliver.
Yeah, I think, well, so my startup journey started in July 21. I left my job at Amazon to join two of my longtime friends who we'd built a ton of software together. And we were working on a project at the time for musicians to share samples with each other.
I forgot to mention that. I saw that. You were doing a demo where. Right, you were some music stuff. So do you also play guitar and stuff?
I do. I play guitar and a little bit of banjo. Royce and I play music together, and that's a fun.
What do you play? Like.
I also play guitar. Oliver says I'm not allowed to say I play banjo until I know more than 3 chords, but
wow, so you guys have so much in common, man. This is the sports, you got the guitar thing, the coding, a lot of similarities and the same mission.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow, and you're trying to make people more productive.
I think that's pretty close to what it is, or maybe something more like let people, I don't know, how would you say it? Enable people to live the digital life that they want to live. Like put them in control of technology and not vice versa.
Yeah. No, I love that. But I cut you off from your
I'll give you the
advice. We cannot leave without that advice.
Yes. All right, so the abridged version is left my job to start a company with basically my 2 friends who I always thought I would start a company with. And we were working on a tool for musicians to collaborate. And we got into YCombinator, and we were like super excited about that. And YC was basically like, look, we've seen a lot of music startups. It's a really hard space to play in. You guys should think pretty hard about trying something else, or at least figure out like what would you need to say this isn't going to work. And so we gave it like another hard month on that, and basically entered our YC batch like pivoting around. Like we were like, okay, greenfield, what do we want to work on? And with 3 co-founders, it was pretty hard to converge on an idea, especially in the pressure cooker of the YCombinator batch. We have demo day looming, all this pressure on us. And ultimately, we couldn't really agree on like what the ultimate pivot was going to be. We stood up a ton of like software for trying a bunch of different things. But we ended up dissolving the company, returning the money. And so I'm kind of sitting at rock bottom. Like I left my job, I don't have a product, I don't have a team, I don't have funding. And it really went to the bottom of like, what do I want to work on? What is a problem that I personally care about? And what is a problem that I feel capable of solving? And this was at the intersection of the 3 of those. And so it was, I think for both of us, like a really, really deep sense of mission around this company.
Wow, that's a very good story. No, because those are the type of times that makes or breaks a person, and then you thought about what I would do if I had nothing, and if I lose it all, what would I do? And you went for that. No, I love that. I'm a big fan of ClearSpace. You guys need to come back. Whenever you release new things, new features on ClearSpace, I'm going to clear all the space for you.
Let's get it out of here.
Yeah, and so ClearSpace, folks, you guys got to download ClearSpace. What's the domain? Is it ClearSpace?
GetClearSpace.com.
Oh, getclearspace.com.
Or just search us on the iOS App Store.
Or just go to iOS App Store, ClearSpace,
Save
or
yourself some time.
yeah, and this is basically for folks that have listened so long. That means they definitely love you. They are dedicated. They're watching you. They want you to be successful. You guys, gotta download ClearSpace so that you can get some of the time back and utilize that. Start a company, do things.
We sometimes say when we're given such an opportunity as this to speak with people who are willing to listen, and your audience is, we like to thank people for their time, and thank you for your time, and also even more so, we like to thank them for their attention.
Yeah, that's very rare. People, that if you have listened, probably you're going to be super successful. If you listen to these guys for this long, because we talked about a couple of different things that could be very helpful for engineers or startup entrepreneurs, and so there are little nuggets that's always there. It's always different with entrepreneurs doing things in different fields. They could have similar background, but when they go into, I'm gonna stop it right there, and thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. And folks, download ClearSpace, getclearspace.com or App Store ClearSpace. All right.